Welcome to AviatorDB News Briefing. Today is Sunday, August 2nd, 2026. Here are today's top stories. Layton, Utah plane crash, 2 hospitalized after Cessna flips on SR-193. Southwest flight medical emergency diverts Flight 512 back to Honolulu. FAA launches science-based marijuana fitness review for pilots, controllers. Beijing tower crash was deliberate, Chinese authorities confirm. Now for the details. 2 people were hospitalized in stable condition after a small plane crash landed and flipped on State Route 193 near Fort Lane in Layton, Utah, late July 31, 2026. The incident occurred shortly before midnight adjacent to Hill Air Force Base, KHIF, according to reports from KUTV and KSL. Emergency responders from the Layton Fire Department said the aircraft, identified as a Cessna 172, lost altitude rapidly before the engine cut out, then landed on the highway and flipped inverted. Both the pilot and passenger self-extricated from the wreckage before being transported to a local hospital. Crews contained a fuel spill at the scene, and no post-crash fire occurred. Layton police said the aircraft likely departed from Ogden and may have been attempting to land at Hill Air Force Base when the accident happened. Authorities told Univision that wind may have been a contributing factor, though the precise cause remains undetermined. The FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, have been notified and are leading the investigation. This incident follows a series of recent general aviation accidents in Utah, including a fatal Cessna 172S crash in Box Elder County and an emergency landing near Smithfield. The NTSB typically releases preliminary findings within 2 weeks. Final reports can take significantly longer. A passenger medical emergency forced Southwest Flight 512 to return to Honolulu on Tuesday night after departing for San Diego. The aircraft had left Hawaii around 9 p.m. when crew declared an emergency following an undisclosed medical issue aboard, according to reports from 10 News and Fox 5 San Diego. Southwest Airlines confirmed the return decision was governed by an FAA-designated demarcation point, an operational framework applied to Hawaii mainland routes that determines whether a flight in crisis should turn back or press on to its destination. The protocol is standard for trans-Pacific operations and is designed to ensure passengers receive the fastest possible medical intervention. A similar diversion occurred on Southwest Flight 139 from Maui to Las Vegas, where crews applied the same procedures to manage a mid-Pacific medical event. Flight 512 had been scheduled to arrive in San Diego just before 6 a.m. Wednesday. Following the diversion, Southwest rescheduled the departure for 9:25 p.m. Wednesday, with an expected San Diego arrival of 5:50 a.m. Thursday, a delay of roughly 24 hours for affected passengers. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, is developing updated fitness for duty standards for pilots and air traffic controllers to address evolving federal cannabis policy, including the potential rescheduling of marijuana at the federal level. The FAA's Office of Aerospace Medicine has partnered with the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine, NASM, and the Transportation Research Board, TRB, to conduct a formal, science-based review of operational risks associated with cannabis use by safety-sensitive aviation personnel. Central to the review is determining how much time must elapse after cannabis use to ensure both the absence of operational impairment and compliance with Department of Transportation drug testing requirements. NASM will host a 4-part expert meeting series through 2026 and 2027, examining the effects of acute and cumulative cannabis use on cognitive performance, reaction time, and situational awareness. The agency expects the findings to inform policy updates within 12 to 18 months following the conclusion of those expert panels. Despite the ongoing review, the FAA stresses that current rules remain unchanged. Under 14 CFR Part 120 and 49 CFR Part 40, marijuana is a prohibited substance for all safety-sensitive aviation personnel, and a verified positive THC test continues to disqualify a pilot from holding an FAA medical certificate regardless of state legalization status. While the agency is working towards scientifically defensible impairment thresholds, stopping short, for now, of adopting a fixed abstinence window comparable to Transport Canada's 28-day rule. Its zero-tolerance stance holds, with federal regulations superseding state cannabis laws. Chinese authorities on July 2nd released findings concluding that the Beijing tower crash involving a light aircraft was a deliberate act. Officials stated the pilot acted for personal reasons, classifying the event as a case of endangering public safety after reviewing recovered diary entries and other evidence. The underlying incident occurred June 26th, when an Aurora SA-60L light sport aircraft struck the CT's tower in Beijing's Chaoyang district. The collision killed the pilot, identified as 66-year-old Liu, and injured 13 people on the ground. According to reports from Bloomberg and the Washington Post, investigators found that Liu, a freelance Beijing resident, had documented suicidal thoughts prior to the crash. Early reports from the BBC and other outlets had raised questions about whether mechanical failure or pilot error might have been factors. The official finding now confirms the strike was intentional. Following the incident, China imposed a nationwide ban on light aircraft flights. The event has raised significant questions about aviation security in the capital, as the aircraft penetrated heavily restricted airspace before striking the tower. Further details regarding the flight path and any specific security breaches remain limited, as initial state media disclosures were brief. That's all we have for today. You can get the latest aviation news at aviatordb.com.